All right, the high school football guru, Zack Poff, is here joining us today for 5 minutes. Zach, how are you?
Doing as good as possible right now. I know things are kind of crazy, and obviously, just want everyone to kind of stay safe and be with their loved ones at this time. But we need sports back.
We do. I couldn't agree with you more. All right, I introduced you as the high school football guru, so I kind of have a feeling I know where this one is going. What are we going to be talking about today?
You know what? We're going to talk high school football. We're going to talk mainly Southern California. We'll add a little De La Salle Folsom here and there too, but kind of want to talk about the best teams that we've seen over the last decade that have come from California. So there's a lot of good ones, and I think we're going to be talking a lot about Mater Dei and St. John Bosco.
Well, of course, there are perennial teams out here that just win consistently, and they give the state a good name, so we can't be mad at them for that. All right, let's put 5 minutes on the clock. High school football in California. So you talked about Mater Dei and St. John Bosco. For me, I haven't called a high school football game in a few years, trying to get back into that, but my knowledge mostly came from the early part of the millennium, so the first decade or so around there when La Habra started to get good, and they were winning a championship in the Southwest Division. I remember being at the game when they were able to beat Tustin and get a big win. Ronnie Hillman was on that team, went on to play for the Denver Broncos. You remember that name. Of course, those are the lower level teams. We still love them. They gave us a great name, but like you mentioned, the Trinity League down here in Southern California is usually where it's at.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the Trinity League, St. John Bosco, Mater Dei, J-Sarah Catholic's been really good the last, 4 to 5 years also. And then obviously Servite had a good run, had a kind of rough patch in a couple years, but Troy Thomas is back coaching there. So Servite's kind of back on the map too. And, we're going to be coming out with our rankings soon, and don't be surprised if 3 Trinity League teams aren't in the top 25. But, I kind of want to talk about some older teams. 2017 Mater Dei, I'm going to go on record here and say that is the best high school football team, not just in California all time, but in the nation all time. That team started the year as the number 1 team in the country. Mm-hmm. Guess how many seconds they trailed during the entire season, Eric?
I'm going to guess 0.
Nailed it, dude. They didn't trail at all the whole season, and they played national teams. Bishop Gorman came in with a 40-plus game winning streak. They ended that streak. They beat Bergen Catholic, a national power out in New Jersey. And then they ended it beating St. John Bosco twice. And that was when DJ Uyunglele was a sophomore, and he's now at Clemson, who's probably going to, be the quarterback after Trevor Lawrence leaves. But that Mater Dei team was very special. A guy that's been in the news here the last couple of days is JT Daniels. Yep. He was the quarterback. He was just at USC and just announced he's going to be at Georgia. And a fun fact, if he's granted immediate eligibility, there's a chance the last 2 starting quarterbacks for Mater Dei will be playing each other on September 19th when Alabama and Georgia play, Bryce Young and JT Daniels. That'd be fun.
And they came all the way to Southern California to go find these guys, and it just gives a great name down here. You talked about Servite winning a couple of Open Division state titles. They won 3, as a matter of fact, in 13, 16, and 19. De La Salle's the team up north. They're the team we watch. They've got a couple guys who went pro. We know Maurice Jones-Drew is probably the most high profile of them all. When you talked about Mater Dei being the best team you've ever seen, I'd imagine you mean a best team during one single season. But when you look at De La Salle, they may be the greatest program of all time, still holding that national record for 151 straight wins.
Yeah, I mean, they're so good, they made a damn movie about them. So that just shows you how good De La Salle is. And, the difference right now with De La Salle and programs like St. John Bosco and Mater Dei is they don't have the 4- and 5-star guys that those schools do, but it just shows you how good De La Salle is. They've been in the state title game every single season since it began in the late 2000s, and it's remarkable what they're doing. They've produced guys like Maurice Jones-Drew. You go back even further to Amani Toomer,
Yep.
Boss Tagaloa, who's at UCLA now. We just saw Devin Asiasi drafted by the New England Patriots in the 3rd round. He's another De La Salle product. They got this cat out in Tennessee, Henry To'oto'o, a big-time linebacker. So De La Salle does have guys, but with them, it's more the program. And they've been a fun team to watch. And another team up here in Northern California, kind of close to where I'm at in the Sacramento area, is Folsom. And, Jake Browning, the guy threw, million yards, million touchdowns. Kind of crazy what he's done. And then a cat to pay attention to from Folsom, too, is Joe Ngata. He's at Clemson now, and I expect him to have a big role this year as a sophomore.
Get all these California guys going down south and playing for those big-name programs. It's great to see. I was
I
around the smaller programs in Orange County, and I mean, it's always fun to see these guys too get the big scholarships.
Yeah, and we've seen that now where USC with the Pete Carroll era, they used to get all the guys, and now we're seeing a lot of these guys go out of state. But I do believe USC is going to start recruiting really heavy in Southern California with Dante Williams there, and they just announced Chris Claiborne's going to also be there. So I expect
Wow.
to go back up for USC.
All right, we're down to our final 30 seconds. Real quick, tell me, will a team from the state of California win the national championship in this upcoming year, assuming there's football played?
There's a good chance. We're coming out with our rankings in a couple weeks here, and Mater Dei Bosco are going to be in the top 5. I won't say who's going to be number 1, but those two teams are in the mix every single season. So,
what a way to be a company man. Good for you.
You got to get
tight to the chest.
Got to get the plug in a little bit here and there. So June 15th, that's when we come out with the top 25. Pay attention, baby.
Oh, we will be. And right at that point, we hit 5 minutes. That's the way we do it. Zack Poff, thanks for your time, man. Stay safe. We'll talk to you soon.
You too, my brother.